Good morning and welcome. Welcome to the home of the Calgary Unitarians. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey of faith or search for meaning, know we are grateful to have you with us. On this Thanksgiving weekend, we pause to acknowledge the land, and we take special time to be grateful to the land. Grateful to the mountains that surround us, that send us water our way. Grateful for the land that nourishes, the food that grows and gives us nourishment ourselves, and grateful for this grounding it gives us to stand together and to celebrate and be together on these times. So we're grateful for our food, we're grateful for our friends, we're grateful to the people who welcomed us here onto their land, the Blackfoot people, the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai First Nations, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda. And they're the Wesley, Bearspaw, and Chiniki First Nations. And we're also grateful to the Métis people, the Métis Alberta Region 3 Métis people who are here on Mohkinstsis, which is now called Calgary. And we remember that September of 1877, we entered into a treaty with those people. We're all treaty people. We're grateful for their welcome. We're grateful that they allow us to stay here. And we're grateful that they continue to teach us good ways to live on this land. My name is Pam Rickey. I have the honor of being on the board of trustees of this congregation, and I'm grateful. I'm just grateful for this community and for all my friends here. I'd like to just remind you that after the service, we will have breakout rooms for those who are not with us physically. So please stay for that. And for people who are here in the building, we can go outside, lovely sunny day, and we can visit out there for a little while in the garden. Thank you.
We lit our chalice this morning with the words of Katie Gelfo. We light our chalice as a symbol of gratitude as we celebrate the abundance of our lives together. In this sanctuary, we harvest bushels of strength for one another and offer our crop with the hands of compassion and generosity. In the authentic and gentle manner of our connections, we cultivate a simple sweetness to brighten our spirits. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift each other, for it is the sharing of this hallowed time together that sustains us. Good morning and a blessed Thanksgiving to us all. Once more, we are doing a hybrid worship service, both in person and live streaming. I want to remind everyone that we do have room now available in Panabaker here in the sanctuary and also in Wickenden, that if you are double vaccinated and feel comfortable with our protocol of being double vaccinated, wearing a mask and sitting 6 feet apart and socially distancing, that you are welcome to attend service with us. And we have a sign up for that just to make sure we know our numbers. And that's emailed to you every week. And this week it will come to you on Tuesday. Normally it would be Monday, but because of the holiday this week, Tuesday, you'll receive that sign up. And we're going to cast a wider net. We're going to send it out to e-news, to all of our connections and friends and community on e-news as well. We want everyone to have the opportunity to be here in person if they are able to do so safely for themselves. So do look for that sign-up sheet and feel free to take advantage of that. It is so good to be together when we are able to do so safely. We would love to have you with us. And regardless of where you are sitting, regardless of how you join us, we are all together in our hearts. I also want you to know that for the next 2 Sundays, on the 17th and the 24th, we are going to be talking about the proposed 8th UU principle. So we're going to have it in worship, and then at 2 p.m. on both of those Sundays, we're going to allow our live participants to go home and eat some lunch, and we'll regather on Zoom at 2 o'clock for a forum to discuss this important change that is proposed for Unitarian Universalism, something that a lot of people in this congregation care about deeply. And myself and our board would love to hear from you and talk about this change. So that, again, will also be in e-news, and reminders will be sent in your order of service too. So we look forward to having you join us in those discussions.
Good morning, friends. Good to be together with you in this virtual space and also live and in person here in Panabaker Hall. Welcome to everyone this morning. Our first hymn is called We Sing Now Together, and this is a hymn of celebration for Thanksgiving and to celebrate all the good things we have in our lives, from those who have worked hard to progress a certain cause and in some cases have lost their lives in the struggle, to those who are artists and dreamers and teachers and leaders, and to all of us who together form beloved community. Let's sing together.
Good morning, everyone. It is so great to see all of you this morning. I'm DRE Sheila. My pronouns are she and her. And today we're talking about foods that warm the heart. And for me, holiday foods are all about bringing people together. And yesterday was my family's big turkey dinner. And we also celebrated my mom's 76th birthday. And so we invited over one person who lives alone to celebrate with us. And today we're also taking a plate of our turkey dinner to someone else who lives alone, but they can't get around and about. So I hope they enjoy that today. Because for me, I feel so grateful that we have this opportunity to share our holiday foods with others, because for me, it's in the sharing that we find connection and joy. And one example of that is because we have a guest last night, we actually played Tile Rummy, which is a fun board game if you haven't played it. And my mom, who never wins, won twice in a row. And so I think that was a really great birthday gift from my mom yesterday. Besides pumpkin pie, the biggest holiday food at my house is stuffing. And so my mom likes it with, hey, Gordon, he says Rummy Cube's the best. I just wanted to add that comment. It is the best, Gordon. It is the best. So my mom, she likes stuffing with just butter, onions, and celery and poultry seasoning. That's it, nothing else. And when I got married and went to my mother-in-law's for Thanksgiving, she adds mild Italian sausage. And it was the best stuffing I've ever eaten. I couldn't stop eating it. And so every year at my house, I have it with sausage. And now that my mom lives with me this year, I had to be, okay, I'll make it for mom, and then I'll make a second stuffing for me. So our new holiday tradition is 2 stuffings, one with sausage, one without. Another holiday tradition for many of us is eating turkey. And one question I have is, how does the turkey feel about that? So to answer that question, I have a story for everyone. It is called Turkey Trouble by Wendy Silvano. All right, Turkey, let's find out. Turkey was in trouble. Bad trouble, the kind of trouble where it's almost Thanksgiving and you're the main course. But Turkey had an idea. What if he didn't look like a turkey? What if he looked like a horse? Surely Farmer Jake wouldn't eat a horse for Thanksgiving. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a horse. Almost. Moo, said Cow. Stop horsing around, Turkey. How'd you know it was me? Moaned Turkey. Too short, said Cow. Gobble, gobble, grumbled Turkey. But looking at Cow gave Turkey a new idea. Surely Farmer Jake wouldn't eat a cow for Thanksgiving. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a cow. Almost. Snorted Pig. Holy cow, is that you, Turkey? How'd you know it was me? Groaned Turkey. Too skinny, said Pig. Gobble, gobble, grumbled Turkey. But looking at Pig gave Turkey a new idea. Surely Farmer Jake wouldn't eat a pig for Thanksgiving. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a pig. Almost. Bah, bah, bleated Sheep. Quit being a ham, Turkey. How did you know it was me? Wailed Turkey. Too clean, said Sheep. Gobble, gobble, grumbled Turkey. But that sheep gave Turkey a new idea. Surely Farmer Jake wouldn't eat a sheep for Thanksgiving. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a sheep. Almost. Cock-a-doodle-doo, crowed Rooster. Bad idea, Turkey. How did you know it was me? Howled Turkey. Too brown, squawked Rooster. Gobble, gobble, grumbled Turkey. But looking at the rooster gave Turkey a new idea. And in fact, it was his best idea yet. He already looked a lot like Rooster, and this costume would be easy. Surely Farmer Jake wouldn't eat a rooster for Thanksgiving. Or would he? Rooster might be his next choice. Turkey worried so much since roosters and turkeys look alike. Oh, gobble, gobble. Farmer Jake came into the barn. Turkey, turkey, turkey. Come out, wherever you are. Where's Turkey? Asked Farmer Jake's wife. I don't know, he said. I looked everywhere. Oh dear, what will we do without a turkey for Thanksgiving? Well, we could always eat the rooster, I guess. Oh no, not Rooster, thought Turkey. He looked around desperately for one more idea, and then he found it. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, it was Turkey's best yet. Ding dong! Happy Thanksgiving! Did you order pizza? Asked Farmer Jake's wife. Nope, but it's a good idea. And they sat down and gobbled up all the pizza, and it was Turkey's best Thanksgiving yet. The end. And so whether you're having turkey this holiday weekend or vegetarian pizza, I want to wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble.
Oh, thank you, Sheila. That was a fabulous Thanksgiving story. Well, so for so many of us, the Thanksgiving holiday holds tradition and memories of families getting together, and especially of really good food. And we know we are truly blessed when we have abundant food, when so many do not have enough. May we remember all those who go without, not just at the holidays, but all year round. Today, we have something special in store for all of you in honor of Thanksgiving. We've invited 4 of our members to share some of their stories about favorite foods and cooking and holiday traditions as a way of reminding us just how important sharing food really is to our relationships and our connections and maintaining those all-important traditions. I'll share just a short, quick story with you. It happened in 1985. I'd worked for 3 days on the usual Thanksgiving spread. It was gorgeous. We'd all sat down to dig into our first round, because usually there were multiple rounds of eating in our household. And we were enjoying this beautiful meal when all of a sudden, crash, we heard this terrible noise. And my giant golden retriever, Wallace, had snatched the turkey right off the kitchen counter. And he was there in the middle of the kitchen devouring it like a hyena on the veld. And we will just never forget the year when Wallace ate the turkey and there were no leftover turkey sandwiches that year. It was very sad, but he was a very happy golden retriever. In our house, our famous recipe comes from my father's mother, who's a very simple woman from Kansas, who was not much of a cook. She got married when she was 15. And yet somehow she had a recipe for oyster dressing, which is more of an East Coast food. So I don't know where she got the recipe, but every year she would make oyster dressing, and in honor of Grandma, so would we. And it would be my dad's thing. He and I would make oyster dressing together. I would dig out the recipe and we'd get those oysters, and I just can see him now just standing over that pot, cutting up the oysters and putting in the crackers. And it's really delicious. It's kind of an acquired taste, but oyster dressing from Kansas, that's one of the things that makes Thanksgiving special in our family. So let's take a few moments now to settle in. Take a few deep breaths if you'd like. Get as comfortable as you can where you are. And we're going to share first a Thanksgiving blessing by Naomi King. Let us join hands and hearts in gratitude on this wondrous day where we have the abundance of our lives before us. We remember on this day of bounty all those who do not have enough, who are afraid, who are lonely, and who suffer. We wish for the abundance of this world to be shared, for fear to become love, and for the lonely to feel welcomed, and for the suffering to know rest and joy. For the labor, the love, the care that gave us the delights of this and every day, we say thanks. For the nourishment of our spirit, the challenges that strengthen us, and the friends we have on the journey, we sing thanks. And for all that is our lives, for these good gifts, we whisper thanks. Overflowing with gratitude, let's shout thanks. Amen. I light a candle for all of the joys and concerns in our lives, the milestones of life that are too important not to be shared, the concerns, the sorrows, the worries that we all have. Maybe hold one another in our hearts. And I light a global candle for the celebrations and the tribulations being experienced all over our planet. We know there are so many reasons to give thanks and many reasons to pray for peace. And as our special prayer on this Thanksgiving Day, that all beings may know peace. Please join me in singing, "Comfort Me, Sing with Me."
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me. Sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Dance with me. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
Good morning. I'm thrilled to be with you here today, either in person or virtually, to talk about my Thanksgiving traditions. Tradition is the glue that binds members of a family together through repeated shared experiences. It makes each family unique, and at the same time, when certain traditions are shared with the culture, they help to create a shared identity. But growing up in a newly arrived immigrant Italian family, Thanksgiving was not a thing. We didn't have a celebratory meal that day. I did not eat turkey, let alone try to cook it until I left home. I was always a little envious of my friends who talk about how they celebrated Thanksgiving in large family gatherings with a set menu. I was an outsider who longed for the predictability and the Canadianness of it all. So when I had children, I set out to establish our own traditions. Some borrowed and some invented. What I'll share with you today is the mishmash that makes our Beazuti Van Maastricht family Thanksgiving unique, and yet at the same time is reflective of the cross-cultural makeup of Canada. In non-COVID times, we begin each meal holding hands. We start with a sung grace borrowed from you, my Unitarian friends, from meals shared at the church or at retreats over the years. Let us give thanks for the food that we share. Let us give thanks for the people who care. Food fills the body and love makes us whole. Let us give thanks deep down in our soul. Amen. Then each of us around the table shares one thing for which they're grateful. Right around this time, my unsentimental family starts to lovingly mock me for being too earnest, for I'm often in tears at what I hear. And they protest that the food is getting cold. So much for that ritual. We dig in. We're a small group, even with occasional guests, so I prepare a roast chicken rather than a turkey. And ever since our Ukrainian British friend Igor introduced us to the idea of cooking bangers with the bird, this has become an indispensable part of our meal. And truth be told, some of us even prefer the sausage to the chicken. But since traditions are not immutable at our house, we now also have a vegetarian main, and all the side dishes are now meat-free. Like Sheila, I used to make a stuffing with that Italian sausage in it, but now it's vegetarian. The stuffing is a classic onion, celery, and sage recipe from my dearly departed friend, Maxine, who grew up in a prairie household. Maxine and Bob adopted us when we moved to Victoria as newlyweds. The accompaniment is a fresh cranberry orange relish, the recipe borrowed from my close friend Anne, my sister by choice. This relish has traveled across the ocean with our daughter, Sarah. Her Danish in-laws were skeptical at first of this addition to their highly traditional roast duck Christmas meal, but now it's expected and anticipated. For those of you who'd like to try it, I have some copies of the recipe. The root vegetables are roasted Italian style with olive oil, garlic, and rosemary or herbe de Provence. Everyone has to leave room for dessert, which changes from time to time, but is often Saskatoon pie. Although crostata, an open fruit tart, is prepared in other regions of Italy, my Friulian mother had never baked a pie of any sort, and I'd never heard of such a thing as Saskatoons before moving here. One stormy night, our first winter in Calgary, Bob burst through the door, home from a traveling clinic, exclaiming, "You gotta try this," and proffering me a whole Saskatoon pie. The team had stopped for lunch at a country diner in Three Hills on the way to Drumheller. And Bob had a eureka moment when he first tasted this delectable dessert. This is one of the only pies I ever bake. I've tweaked the recipe to substitute 1 cup of rhubarb to 3 cups of Saskatoons. And because I detect a subtle flavor of almonds in the fruit, I always put in a bit of pure almond extract for punch. Sarah and her family were finally able to come here from Denmark this summer. And I was really touched to hear Sarah say that for her, Saskatoon pie is the quintessential dessert that fills her with nostalgia for Canada and her family. This is the power of tradition. So however you choose to celebrate or not celebrate Thanksgiving, whatever traditions you hold dear, I hope you have a blessed and peaceful Thanksgiving. And Mary Jane Hussey is going to talk about some of her traditions.
Good morning. For me, Thanksgiving is the time when I have many, I have a whole cascade of memories about food and feasting. Some of the memories might have been disasters at the time they occurred, like yours, Shelley. But as time goes on, things soften and you can laugh. And they make even better memories when you can laugh about them. And today I come to the podium, the pulpit, and I have an advantage because I have managed to become an elder. And that's no easy task, folks. So my memory bank is really jam full. And I'm going to do something today. I'm going to ask you to think about food and feasting, but I'm going to also give you a puzzle to think about and see if you can answer the puzzle. I have brought with me this. And then I'm going to speak as if this were the voice. And I'm going to ask you later a question. So this starts by saying, I came into being, my family of origin was a birch tree in Florenceville, New Brunswick. I came into being in 1892 at the hand of Andrew, who took his knife and carved very carefully a branch, me, into something very aesthetically beautiful and useful. Well, I made a cross-border crossing at an early age. In 1894, I found myself in the kitchen drawer of Mary in a farmhouse in Presque Isle, Maine. And oh, my purpose in life was meaningful, very meaningful. And because I was so useful, I became worn and satiny with a patina that only experience can give a person or a thing. And I could be held by the handler or the user, whatever you want to call that person, in either hand. Didn't matter, right or left, either hand would work. And I really was important in a long-range plan that had great meaning for the people it was intended. And I had a feeling that I kept the user, the handler, safe. And so my greatest satisfaction was the appreciation from the people who got to partake of the results. Who am I? I'm going to give you a minute to think about it. Think about my curve. Think about I can be held in either hand. And if you can think of what I am or who I am, please put it in the chat section of the virtual page that I'm talking to and people I'm talking to. And the great reveal will come when we have our coffee hour, not now, because I can't run to the operators and say, okay, what do people put down, if anything? And it's okay, you can go ahead and Google, because my current handler did Google me, and kind of close, but not really easy to find. So you may have trouble even if you're a good Googler. So I hope that you all have a very wonderful Thanksgiving, and that the memories that you have from this year and from before will help with having great memories going forward. So thank you very much. Goodbye.
So we'll be singing together hymn number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Brandis Purcell, and I would like to talk to you today about a very important part of our Thanksgiving that we hold in our family from year to year. And that most important and looked forward to part is the pie. I've been told that I make a pretty decent pie crust. And so today I'm going to talk to you about making pie crust. Some little tips that I have so here for your enjoyment is Brandis's version of making the perfect pie crust. Pie crust consists of 3 ingredients: flour, water, and fat. Flour, preferably medium gluten flour, ice cold water, very important that it be ice cold, and some kind of edible fat, usually lard, butter, or vegetable shortening, or a combination of lard and butter. No, you don't need salt, and you don't need sugar, and the science jury is still out on whether vinegar helps to lower the gluten production or not. I'm not going to talk today about tools and gadgets here. However, there are a couple of techniques that I think will improve your pie crust. The first and most important one in my book is to keep it cold, cold, cold in the fridge. If you have naturally warm hands, run them under the cold water tap every so often while you are handling the crust. Cut your fat into the flour until it resembles cornmeal. Yes, cornmeal. The thing you are trying to do is to distribute the fat particles in the flour evenly and get as much of the flour coating the fat as possible. You don't want the microscopic size. Cornmeal size will do. You'll need less water, and you will have an easier time rolling out your pastry without big lumps of fat in it. Now add just enough ice cold water to make it hold together when you squeeze it in your hand. No more. Mix it with a fork, or even better, a spatula, and form it into a ball. No kneading. Use a light touch. You don't want too much gluten to form. Rest your crust in the fridge for around half an hour. This is why it's a good thing to start early. Why rest the crust? Because it allows the wet flour particles to hydrate the drier flour particles, which is what you want. It'll hold together better, roll together better, and bake better. The next thing to do is to roll it out. Rolling it out flattens and stretches the hydrated flour bits and fat bits and helps to make those lovely, distinctly flaky layers in the crust. Roll it out bigger than you think you need to roll it, because that way you will not stretch it putting it into the pie pan. Whether it's a single crust or filled, cool it again once you get it into the pan for at least 30 minutes before it goes into the oven. Blind bake it if it's a single crust. Blind baking is a way of weighting down the pie crust so it doesn't puff up and form those lovely flaky but aggravating lumps and bumps in the bottom of your pie crust. You can use those fancy little ceramic beads that you buy at the kitchen store, or you can use dried peas or beans. Fill your crust with the beads or the peas, right up to the top. Put them in a container after they cool and use them again and again for pie crust. Don't forget and cook them into your soup. If you're making a single crust pie, Or even if you're making a double crust and you're concerned about your bottom crust getting soggy, here are some tips to turn those soggy bottoms around and march them out the door. Number 1, blind bake your pie crust. Number 2, brush the bottom with egg, or if it's a savory pie, sprinkle a light layer of grated cheese before baking. Number 3, use a cookie sheet under your pie pan. Number 4, don't make your bottom crust too thin. And number 5, and this might be unusual for some people, but I'd urge you to try it. Fill it while it's hot. Good luck using these techniques, and may all your pies be crusty flakes. Now here's Sabrina Delben to talk to us about something to do with Thanksgiving food.
Thanks, Brandis. Whoa, my face is so big on the screen here. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this little celebration of our foods that warm the heart. I was raised Catholic, so I have a confession to make, and I'm still recovering from all that. I don't like pumpkin pie. I really don't. I love pie of any sort. So Brandis, thank you for that wonderful talk about how to make the perfect crust. I agree with everything you said. I've spent this last year teaching a lot of my culinary students online, so I do a lot of cooking in my kitchen. So when I was asked to participate, my first thought was, what can I cook in my kitchen for the congregation? And I did a little mishmash. I love pumpkin spice. I just don't like it in a pumpkin pie. So as I talk to my students about food and tradition, and we have conversations about reconciliation and healing, and how we get through this pandemic when teenagers so desperately need some grounding right now, we always come back to food and the traditions that we share. And so I took a tradition of my grandmother's, which was to make us jelly rolls after school. She would throw in a sponge cake in the oven and make us a jelly roll as a sweet treat because we didn't have a lot of money. My grandmother had 10 children and I became number 11 because my mom had me at 17 and brought me home. So we cooked frugally and we cooked well. And I took my love of pumpkin and pumpkin spice and I merged it into this jelly roll idea to help me pass along a tradition to my students and kind of show them how to create new flavors. So I sent 2 videos to Shelley and the team at the office, and they're going to show you those videos of me showing you how to make a jelly roll. So while Brandis gave this lovely description of how to make, I'm just going to show you because I'm more of a doer. So I have 2 videos that I think managed to put together. Just a quick sponge. The recipe, I believe, will be on the church website, I believe. I'm not quite sure. You can make it in a bowl. You don't even need a mixer. I just have the students make it in a bowl with a whisk, treat it lightly, pour it onto a prepared pan. I like to spray my baking sheet and then put a little bit of parchment paper on, and you'll see me removing that part. I really have to say, I think the video will explain it all, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day full of wonderful food and create some new food memories and maybe some new traditions in light of all this COVID and only having small gatherings together. So welcome to my kitchen. I said that I would videotape the making of the jelly roll part. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I just took my cake out of the oven and letting it sit for just a few seconds, because if you flip it out too early, it'll break. What we're gonna do is prepare the tea towel. So make sure you have a tea towel. These do come clean, so don't feel like you're wrecking a tea towel. And we're just going to sprinkle sugar over the top of it. And this is going to help the cake, A, not stick to the tea towel, and B, it's going to give you kind of that nice sugary crunch on the outside. So just a nice light dusting of sugar will be good. And then I'm going to go get the cake, which is on my oven. So there's my cake. I went to the looking for it to spring back when you press on it, or a little toothpick, but I just like to use my fingers because I've been doing this a while. And we're going to just run the knife along the outside of the pan, because remember we've got the parchment paper on the base, so it shouldn't stick there, but what we want to do is make sure it doesn't stick make sure it doesn't stick on the sides. So what you're gonna do is rest your pan right on the edge, and then we're gonna move quite quickly. We're gonna flip it down, and I'll use that knife now. And you can see how it came out. Oops, maybe a little bit not on that end, but that's okay. Those are the bits that are the best to eat in the kitchen. That's what the chef eats. So we'll get rid of that. And then while it's still warm, you want to pull this parchment paper off. Remember, don't use wax paper. Wax paper has a different purpose. This is parchment paper. If you trust yourself with just greasing and flouring a pan, I guess you could do that. Be all right. So now I've got a nice warm cake here, and I'm gonna start, fold my towel up, and I'm gonna just start rolling it. And what's gonna happen is it's gonna cool in this shape, which is what we want. So it's gonna find a natural bottom part right on that crease. And I'm gonna pull my wire rack out. If you have one, that's great. If you don't worry about it. Makes it a little bit less soggy on the bottom. And now we're gonna let this cool until it's cool to the touch. You don't want to feel any warmth coming from it. And then we're going to unroll it, and we're going to spread whatever filling. Today I'm going to be making a cream cheese icing, and I'm going to make that while this is cooling, and that timing should be just about right. So the jelly roll is feeling cool to the touch. I made myself a little bit of cream cheese icing. So we're going to unroll it really gently. It's kind of like Christmas time. We're going to unroll this, we'll slide it along, and then I'm going to just put big dollops of this icing just along the center, because then what we're going to do is just smear it back and forth. And you don't want a lot of icing in this, otherwise it won't hold its shape. It'll be too much. There can be too much icing. There, I said it. Okay, and it doesn't matter if it's cracked a little bit because it has been unrolled and doesn't always like to be unrolled. You could put chocolate chips in here, you could put some dried fruit or some candy peel, whatever you like on your cakes. So that's all spread. And then you're gonna roll it back up, but you're not going to roll it with a tea towel this time because that doesn't cut very well, okay? Doesn't taste very good either. Make sure you're going nice and tight, kind of give it a little bit of a push down. So I'm kind of pushing as I'm rolling it. I'm just gonna pull it back towards myself. And you're gonna roll it right back. And then we're gonna peel off. It's a little bit sticky. So there we go, we got our roll. I'm just gonna try and get this tea towel completely off. And remember, that does wash up just fine. So there we've got our roll. And normally I would let this sit for a few hours, but I just can't help myself. I'm going to cut one piece so you guys can see the wonderful inside on this, on my wonderful plates from my great-grandmother. I like to serve things on them. So I'm gonna do 2 pieces, and then I'm gonna freeze the rest for my little dessert table next week for Thanksgiving. And that is our pumpkin rolls. And I hope you enjoy making them in your house. Goodbye.
Well, thank you all for sharing those great recipes and tips. And now we get an opportunity to show our thanks. We take our offering for this self-sustaining church. And those of you in the church, there's a basket at the back. We're not going to pass the basket, but there's a basket at the back with envelopes. And those of you at home, there'll be a slide that comes up and show you how you can give us your offerings. Thank you.
We extinguish this flame, but not the fire of gratitude in our hearts. May the love we share in this community spread far and wide. In closing, I give you a gift, a poem from Howard Olivier. He says, "I'm smiling because a million possibilities which could have precluded this moment we're sharing didn't happen. Safe passage through countless intersections this week, the absence of calamity since breakfast, 1,000 breaths received in the last hour, delivered right on time. The tapestry of the present moment is complete and continuously refreshed, courageous, wholehearted, raw, and alive. Look, here it is again." Beloveds, I do hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving with family and friends and wonderful food. Please join me in singing, Answering the Call of Love.
Promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide. And so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling a vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
Woo! Friends, thank you so much for joining us this Thanksgiving morning. It's been wonderful to have all of you with us, whether online or here in person in Pennebaker Hall. It's time for a coffee hour. I don't know about you, but I've built up quite an appetite listening to all those delicious recipes and stories. So let's meet each other either online, and friends who are Zooming in today, the link should be appearing in the chat area of your Zoom screen just now. And for folks who are here with us in person in Pennebaker Hall this morning, we invite you to travel through Wickenden Hall and out into the garden where it is still sunny. Be well, friends, and know that all of our good wishes go with you.